It's time for the movie rating. This time we got a youngster, Adam Bogoch, our victim of tonight. Director, writer of the film Complexity. Hello.
Hello there. This is kind of scary being live here, or recorded.
Is it really scary?
It's a bit daunting, absolutely, for sure.
So what's going on? What's with this film anyway? It is a drama film, correct?
Yeah, it's a comedy. It's like a romantic comedy. It stars Amelia Ullerup, who's from Sanctuary and J-Pod, and the pretty blonde that we advertise, and she's wonderful. And it's basically a film that hopefully everybody will be able to relate to in some way about family and about relationships and about being yourself and finding independence and growing up. It's one of those universal type themes, you know?
So is this pretty much kind of like a family-based type? Is it a show, or is it pretty much a show mixed into a big film, pretty much?
No, it's a regular feature film. It's family themed, but definitely not family. Our family's not demographic. It deals with some more adult situations and themes for sure. So it's not really for them.
So it's not really a teen like you would see homosexuality, drugs, and so forth and so forth. We've seen it.
Yeah.
How about something different, please?
Well, you know what? It's putting your own spin onto something. Every story's been told to some degree. Mm-hmm. Putting your own spin on that story, and that's what we do.
For this film, it seems that it's a little bit more dramatic than, of course. It would be terrible for a teenager, of course, to go through these things. But when it's adulthood, it becomes drastically more harsh, like alcoholism and so forth.
Yep. Well, one of our main characters though we don't really talk about it or mention it at all, but it's very clear that one of the main characters is a vicious alcoholic. So these are things that we deal with, but we deal with it in a funny and light way because the film is very attractive and looking, and that's sort of the spin we've put on it, is to make it feel good, but also at the same time dealing with some kind of shitty stuff.
Yeah. So how long has this film been in the working? Has it just been working for a couple months or a couple years?
It's a 2-year project.
Wow.
We're still working on it now, I guess, right? Because we're doing film festivals and a number of other things with it. But I started writing it, I guess.
It's like, I just write it and direct it.
Man, I'm trying to remember. There's so much stuff going on right now for me, so I'm trying to just sort of focus it back on Complexity. But I guess about a year and a half ago, so it's just over a year and a half worth of work, closer to 2 years. And then we shot it last summer and edited it through the fall and winter. And we finished everything, the music, the sound, and the color correction in March. Mm-hmm. And it's been finished since March.
Is this a raw type film, or do you actually use CGI and all this fancy camera work, which is not bad, but for this type film?
No, none of that. It's strictly natural. No special effects or anything like that. Nothing. The script didn't call for it.
So pretty much it's not like an advanced soap opera.
No. You could definitely say no. No.
Well, it seems like it's been turning some heads. So what's your opinion about this film? Do you think it's just a decent film in your opinion, or you think it's like a new, fresh taste as far as drama/comedy?
Well, what can you say about your own project without sounding either like you're ungrateful for it happening, or that you're incredibly narcissistic? And I'm, of course, being a director, I'm incredibly narcissistic. I mean, I know everything, and I am better than everybody else, obviously. But you know what? It was a lot of fun to work on. There's a great cast and crew on the project. What do you want? I was 17 when I wrote it. I'm 19 now. So what do you want? It's not going to be amazing, but it's definitely going to be something. It's going to be something. If you have appreciation for people's work, it's definitely strong for a 17-year-old. But let's just say it's not going to be as good as the film that I'm going to do when I'm 25. You know what I mean? So it gets better. Things get better over time. Like my first feature film, I wrote when I was 15, and it won me a couple festival awards, and got me some great help and talent on my next project. But the film itself wasn't that great. It was shitty in some ways. It was good in some ways and shitty in other ways. And this film is the same thing, except it has more good than shit. But there's lots of shit in it too. But that's just how filmmaking goes.
Well, a majority of films that you see, the big timers like 16 Candles and The Breakfast Club, so films like that started out at the time probably didn't have a really good feeling about the film, but ended up being a tremendous hit.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, this is what this film is not going to be like those John Hughes films that you just mentioned, but it's really a film to say, hey, this is what I can do, and this is what these people can do. Pay a little bit more attention, to us, and give us more money and more time, and we'll do something bigger and better for you.
Yeah, it's like if it's not that great now, maybe a couple years it'll actually pick up somewhere, even if it's not picked up now. Someone will eventually pick it up.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of really good in it. There's a lot of really good. What's really interesting is to see how an audience reacts to your film, and I've only been in one situation at this point. I'll be in my second situation when we screen down in the Feel Good Film Festival in August, but in Los Angeles. But I've been in one situation where I've had a private screening for 500 people, cast, crew, and family, and it was interesting to see where they laughed and where they didn't laugh, and where you wanted them to laugh, and when they didn't laugh, and when they did laugh. So it was very interesting, and so you can really tell what the audience responds to, even if it's drama. And there's definitely a few sections and a few characters that they really respond to, as well as the visuals and the music. So there's always going to be good and bad.
No, it's pretty much everything in the film. It's like they may not like it, but at some points they may like the lesser popular character in that film, like the one that has almost no lines. It's like, well, this one's a lot better. And plus, no doubt everyone has made mistakes in films, but they see it later on. It's like, well, I should have made this one longer. I should have made this shot a little bit shorter, and so forth and so forth. And they ended up having a DVD and put, hey, this is what I fucked up on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we were on a very tight budget with with a minimal time, and we did pretty well for what from what the money and the time we had. We really lucked out with great weather, and we really lucked out with locations. We have a couple really fantastic locations visually that really enhance the story and really enhance the performances of the actors. And it's the film, as I said earlier, is absolutely beautiful to watch. I mean, aside from all the beautiful women in there, and it's just absolutely beautiful to watch because our city is shown so miraculously, and the director of photography did a very good job, and the music is really good. So I mean, there's lots of good. I'm so happy I did it. It was so much fun, one of the best experiences of my life, and it still is. And so I definitely think this is a film that someone's going to find, hey, that's really funny, or that's really sweet, or that's really poignant. But no, there's definitely going to be parts in it that are shitty. Can I tell you one?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. I have a cameo in it, or not cameo. I have a very small role in it, and even though I've been told that it's okay, I think it's one of the shittiest things in there. And I have a very small role in it. But hey, I'll never act in a film again. Hey, how's that? So that's what we learned from that experience, right?
Yeah. It's like, then it's the same thing with if someone was directing and then they go to acting. It's like, wait, what the fuck?
Hey, well, it works in some cases. It didn't work in mine, at this point anyways, but it definitely works in a lot of cases. George Clooney is my biggest example, I find. But of being a great director and a great actor. But anyways, that aside, I wanted to challenge myself by taking on 3 hats in that. I took on the writer, and as soon as we started production, I put aside the writer and became the director. And then also at times I had to be an actor at the same time as being a director. So that's a tough thing to do, but I wanted to be challenged. I wanted to be, so I have the experience for the next, go-arounds to be under that type of pressure.
Well, you see a lot of people that have both occupations, such as director and writer. And as you said, it can be very hectic, a very hard job trying to do both at the same time. And, even with acting, I mean, even that's just, it probably maybe slightly less compared to those two, but it's just something like that. It's just crazy, Yeah,
well, let me tell you that I would definitely say that 95% of jobs in the film industry are incredibly difficult, and to take on multiple jobs at the same time in that industry is 10 times more difficult. I can tell you that.
Yeah, because you're sitting there filming, and it's like, wait a minute, I got to be in the scene. I'm acting. Hold on. It's like, okay, I want you to direct over here.
Well, that's kind of what it is. I mean, I was lucky to have a great producer on set, and she for most of the time. And when I was acting, she was fill-in director, and then I would come back and watch the scenes, and if they were decent, or we were running out of time, then I'd say we'd move on.
Yeah, that's just how it is these days. Well, do you prefer on location, or do you actually prefer using the studio? A lot of people do that.
So I understand why people like using a studio, and I've done very minimal studio work, or been on many studios. I've been on a couple, but I mean, I can see why people like studios, because it's incredibly controlled. Everything is controlled, and it's probably more comfortable. However, on location, it depends where you are. It really depends where you are. But on location, it can be just as comfortable, but it's really more for the actors, as the actors feel that they're actually physically in that space. They're really reacting to the area that you've put them in. And I find that a little bit more beneficial. Plus, an independent film, most indie films are shot on location, not shot in studios, unless they are using some extravagant set that they need complete control of.
Well, as I said, some people prefer studio because the environment can be a pain in the ass. You can't control it, and when you try to have at least minimal control, it still doesn't work. So they just pretty much paint it with CGI.
Yeah, but I think that's bullshit. Because the actors, good actors can deal with distraction. They can deal with little bits of distraction, a plane flying by, or a car going by really fast and making a lot of noise, or whatever, all that bullshit. But it's actually being in the environment. If character A and character B are walking down a street, having a conversation or whatever, and a car drives by and makes a bit of noise, that's what happens in real life. That's what happens in the scene. Now, if a car drove by during a pause in their conversation at a time where we go, well, obviously there's going to be a sound effect there, and that they need to fill in the space somehow. It doesn't feel real, and I think it's more important to put the actors in a real environment that they can react to and that we can believe them in than it is to make everything perfect, or as you just said, cover it in special effects.
Yeah, as I said, technology is pretty impressive when it comes to film, but it's also been abused a lot too.
Yep, for sure.
As I said, even CGI, it is a great tool. It's a beautiful tool, but sometimes some films just completely just use the hell out of it in one like a drama film or an action adventure film mostly, and pretty much ruin the scene itself. Just kills the movie itself because there's no real environment behind them.
Well, essentially good CGI or any visual effects really are the effects that you don't notice that are really there, that are just happening. That's good special effects.
Oh yeah, it's like, wow, I didn't know his face, or he moved his hand over there when it's actually not in view or something like that. They could
anything like that. That's things that are. It's like the score in many ways. The good score is a score that you're not paying that much attention to. You notice it's there and you think it's attractive, but it's not overriding the visuals and it's not overriding the performances or whatever. Yeah. That's a good score. It's much like visual effects. You don't want to be spending too much time on them. I'm not watching a fucking Michael Bay film where there's an explosion every 30 seconds.
Well, you see a character walking toward the camera and then there's an explosion behind him and it doesn't affect them, doesn't surprise them. You see that scene on every film, action adventure film.
Yeah, like what, Wolverine? Do that in Wolverine, didn't they?
You see it in Iron Man. You just see it everywhere. Yeah, you get a lot like the whole Matrix too when they start using the bullet effect.
What was that?
When they use the bullet effect on the Matrix.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
And then you see a bunch of other films doing the same thing, even Scary Movie, and it just on and on. It's like, come on, man.
Things get reused. I think I just read a thing on the internet from, speaking of Michael Bay again, sorry to trash it, but I'm not trashing him, but there was a thing on the internet, I think that Yahoo did, showing that a couple of the stunts that were done in the latest Transformers film were reused, and they just added visual effects to it, and it's the same locations, the same car being blown up. It's it's actually quite crazy. It's like, where's the originality? I don't know. Is this saving money or is this being unoriginal?
No, it's like some films just do that and get lazy because of that. It's like, okay, let's make another monster film. It looks like Godzilla. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's what it is. Absolutely. But hey, whatever. We live with it, we deal with it, we move on.
Well, do you think it's more aimed a little bit different on making these remakes, making these prequels, and sort of toward the younger audience, considering you are in the teens, man?
Well,
or would you say it's just pretty much whatever goes?
Well, I think it's whatever goes, but in a way. But I think that you shouldn't classify everything, or you shouldn't think of everything in the same category, because not every remake is the same and as each other, obviously, because they're remaking all different types of genres, and not everything is going to appeal to the same crowd. So I'm not sure if that's a fair statement. Yeah,
I will say it's like if it's a horror film, they say usually it goes toward the fans of that original film from the franchise, because one, it's a franchise, and part of the reason it does go toward the younger audience because now they're trying to
appeal. Really, they have to appeal to as many people as they can because they're trying to make their buck.
Yeah, they have to.
I think there's a focus, but they really try to appeal to the masses, so everybody will go see their film and spend money on their film.
Yeah, and then of course you get the ones that are bitching about, well, I like the original better. It's like, well, then go watch the original. Why do you keep watching the remake? It's like when someone doesn't like some food that they ordered, and they keep eating it.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing is that the remake is the directors and the cast and crew's own spin on that story. It's not going to be the same. In a way, it's an adaptation. Much like, for me, it's the same thing. When adaptations are done on books and book is put to film, a lot of people that are the big book supporters get all pissed off with the film because the film is not exactly like the book.
Yeah, and you can't fit the book in.
Your fucking audience isn't going to stay and watch a 16-hour film. They want to watch a 2 or 2.5 hour film.
Well, even look at Harry Potter. They got the new one coming out. It's part 2. That's how big it is.
Well, I think that was a very smart choice that those producers made and Warner Brothers made for that movie, for that. I don't want to call it a franchise, but for that story and for that series, because that was the last time they could try to get it right, and splitting the film or the book into 2 films is not just for money purposes, but also to make the fans happy, because that's the people that are going to go see their movie, and that's the people that are going to give them good reviews and give them positive feedback, and that's what they owe to the fan. That's what they owe to the J.K. Rowling, the writer of that series, is to make it as authentic and as loyal to the book as they possibly can. So that was a really good decision, I think.
Yeah, it makes people just want to go watch it some more. It's like, oh wow, part 2. If you missed the first one, you could probably get it on DVD here in the next week or so.
And to be honest with you, as a Potter fan, I definitely think that I mean, from the reviews I read for this one, I haven't seen it yet. It hasn't been released, obviously. But the last one, I thought it was the best Potter. I thought it was the most real and most authentic and relatable. And as a film, as a film, forget it's a fantasy Harry Potter book film. It's a standout film on its own because it's fantastic in many ways. I mean, it's flawed, but whatever.
Yeah, no, that it also indicates that there's going to be an end pretty soon. They don't just drag it on and on like a lot of sequels do.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, Harry Potter is not really a, if we're going to make money on this film, we're going to make another one so we can make more money. They're adapting a series of books, right? So they're going to eventually have to, unless the film's a big flop, they're not going to continue making the movies. So, I mean, obviously the books came to an end at one point. Now the movies have to come to an end, and I think it's fantastic. They've created a great world and with great characters, and they've got the best actors in the world, as far as I'm concerned. In small roles or in whatever. Yeah,
I mean, it's a little bit unfortunate that films like that are going to have to come to an end. But what about the actors? That's the problem. It's like, well, it's likely they're going to have more work ahead of them. It's not like they weren't noticed in this particular film.
That's not something to be concerned about, my friend. It's not, because they'll all get great jobs, and Dan Radcliffe is he's on Broadway and he's doing his thing, and Emma Watson is doing her thing. So I mean, everybody's doing what they need to do. I wouldn't be worried about that. They have a very bright future ahead of them.
Oh, certainly not, man. I mean, as I said, the film series itself at this point has been very interesting to watch.
Yeah.
It's almost like pretty much under the belt, like where you see Star Wars, Star Trek, and all these other films like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say next to them. That'd be a little bit too much.
Yeah.
So what's going on with your new projects, man?
What's going on with what? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
What's going on with your new projects? What are you writing or directing next?
Okay, so what I've been dealing with all day and all week. As I said earlier, life's busy, which is really good. It feels good to be constantly working at such a young age, and I just graduated high school just over a year ago, and I'm working full time in the film industry. I don't have a second job, mind you. I'm in a condition where I can afford to do that, but then maybe that will change one day. Who knows? But at this point in my life, I've been very lucky, and so right now I'm really working on 4 projects. Complexity is still a project for me because it's still moving and still growing. I mean, the movie itself is done. The making of the movie is complete, but we're moving on and we're selling it and we're doing that crap, which is a little bit exhausting. I'm not going to lie. It's not my favorite part of everything. I like being creative, and that's where my talent is, not what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
I've just submitted my 3rd feature film, which is a little bit darker. It's a drama as well, with a lot of comedy in it. However, it is a lot darker than Complexity. It's not a romantic comedy at all. It's not a romance at all. But it's something a little out of my...
element?
Yeah, exactly. It's totally out of my element, but at the same time, sort of is in my element. So it's expanding, but not expanding. No one takes you seriously if you don't know what you're talking about or don't know what you're writing about. No one takes that seriously. If I'm writing about being a ballet dancer, I have no idea what the fuck that's like because I'm not a ballet dancer.
No. It's like, whoa. And you watch it on film, it's like, I still don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Well, hey, you know what? Black Swan, they knew what they were doing. So, but with that. But so it's a little out of my element, but it's a lot of fun, and I'm actually quite excited for it because I've grown a lot as a writer and I've grown a lot as a director, and I can't wait to have all of my editors and future producers tear it up and change it up and make it into a better picture. I'm also doing a short film. I'm directing a short film for a producer named David Kay, who is a child actor. He got a start on Legends of the Fall with Brad Pitt and Anthony Hopkins. And that is a short film about Alzheimer's. A very important film, I think. Right now, they're just in talks with the Alzheimer's Society up here in Canada to use it as a marketing tool after its film festival run. I'm kind of excited about it because it's a really sweet little film, and has a really good message, and it's not bombarded with overly sentimental sections. It's quite laid back and quite natural and quite realistic, and that's the best part of it, is that you're not doing a film with a strong message to make people cry. You're doing it to make people relate to it and see that it's important and it's part of our day-to-day life. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm also doing part-time associate producing another feature film, a suspense film, a ghost story for another director that's up here in Vancouver. And that's slowly progressing, but hopefully it's got a future, and the director's very passionate about the project, and I think that's great.
Well, yeah, there's some really great films coming from over there.
It's a hard-working city. It's Hollywood North. Vancouver is Hollywood North.
I bet it is, because a lot of films come from there, and they go to Los Angeles, California,
for post.
Yeah, Hollywood, everywhere. Yeah, and then that's the question. It's like, is it equally as strenuous over there as it is in the U.S.? As far as working in the film industry, because certain places can
be LA.
Yeah, that's pretty much your LA up in Canada.
Toronto. You can't forget Toronto, because Toronto also has a film industry. However, it's in some ways it's not as good as Vancouver, but in some ways it is. I think it's slowly getting better again, unfortunately. But Vancouver, as an actor, I'm not an actor, but in an actor's perspective, it's probably easier to get work than it is in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. However, there's more work to be had in Los Angeles, but more competition. I think LA definitely is still the capital of the world for the film industry. Vancouver is definitely in the top 10, maybe top 5. For sure, top 5. Definitely the top in Canada at this point. But that's great. It could be better, and it hopefully will get back being the industry as it once was. We took a big hit this year and last year. With a recession, it kind of fucked up the film industry in Vancouver, but it's slowly getting better.
Yeah, it's pretty much killed everybody, even the porn industry, dude.
That's an industry that should never run out, isn't it?
Yeah. You would think the porn industry will keep going.
Also, actually, you know what? I was going to talk about the porn industry, then I thought, I'm going to not talk about that because people are listening to the show. But, the recession hit us all. It hit everybody. It hit every industry. Some industries have recovered really quickly, and some haven't. But the industry in Vancouver is slowly creeping back to what it once was.
Yes, is the independent films going fairly well for you guys up there? I know your film has gone to Los Angeles and had some hits recently, but in general up there. In general, yeah. I think to be honest with you, I think with indies at this point, I think indies are doing better than Hollywood stuff up here, just because there's more indies than there is Hollywood stuff. Usually it's the other way around, but we lost a whole bunch of our big shows that were shot here. They got canceled and or finished. So we still have quite a few, but we don't have the masses as we did last year. We lost Smallville. We lost quite a few. Human Target. I don't know. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them. But it's good. It's good. Hey, it's good for me. It's not good for everybody else, and hopefully, it's good for me at this point. 2 months ago, I had very little to do, but now I have, I'm tired right now speaking to you. I wish I had more energy like you do talking to me, but I'm tired because it's a lot of work to do. But, I'd say it's okay for independent films right now, for sure. Yeah, it does get rough, no doubt. For any filmmaker, regardless. But you just do what you got to do, pretty much, and then just hope for the best.
Yeah, that's true. Independent film is a hard world to crack into. It's a hard world to be taken seriously, for sure. And for me, as a I hate to call myself a teenager, but I guess 19, I'm still a teenager. But as someone who's 19 and has a very big role in the productions that I take part in, or the productions that I do myself. It's hard to be taken seriously, and so therefore it's harder to crack into. But I've been very lucky and feel very fortunate to have a group of talent and support, and people just constantly taking a chance on me. And luckily, I haven't disappointed them at this point.
Well, it doesn't matter how young you look. You'd be cradle robber for all. You'd be a pedophile. Hey, look, he's a damn good filmmaker, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's a scary thought, but I guess it's true.
Yeah. All right, we're going to wind the time out. That's what we're going to do. So, have you ever thought of directing in the future your own TV series, maybe? Or have you ever done it yet? Your own stream, maybe a TV show based something around complexity? Or
one of the first things I did when I was, you know how Spielberg picked up his, and I'm not comparing myself to Spielberg, so anybody who thinks I'm doing that at this point, you can just fuck off, because I'm not. Spielberg picked up a camera and shot train wrecks when he was a kid, and he shot it, scaring his sisters. When he was a little kid, this is how he began his filmmaking. For me, I shot a television series. So when I was 9 years old, so what do you want, right? 9 years old. So I don't think that's something that's completely off limits in the future. I think it's something I'd like to do, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, some of them just don't want to do it because it's such a pain in the ass to do.
Yeah, well, there's a certain positive side to coming to a set where you know everybody every day, and that sort of familiarity is there. So you're not on a set every month and you're meeting completely new people. You're coming to set and there's a lot of the same people. So there's a lot of positive in that, but the demand and the challenge of having a show on air.
Yeah.
And the threat of cancellation and the threat of not being picked up in the first place after you spend so much money and so much hard work on something is ever looming, and I don't think that is a very appealing thing as opposed to making a movie. It's a bit different. So
yeah, even if it's your pilot, that's equally just as crucial. Even some pilots automatically cancel before it even reaches the air.
A lot of the time that actually happens. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pilots.
Yeah, it's like, oh, no, we don't like it. And then, probably, 5 to 10 years later, they kind of rehash it again, except under a slightly different title, a slightly different genre. It's like, hey, it's really good.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Well, I just don't, I get that. It's sad. It's really sad because there's lots of good pilots out there, I'm sure, but people don't respond to it. People don't, the networks go, no one's going to have an audience for this. But, it's sad.
It is. It's I don't want to use the man, but that's how it is in this era, especially in this industry. It's like you really can't do it. If you're under contract under a major company as far as your film, well, you don't really have much time to do stuff your own as far as the writing or directing. It's like, well, this has got to be done under a certain time.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I don't know how your show works, but is there something we can do? I mean, do people respond to listening to conversation, or do we need to blow something up, or what do we need to do to make people really interested in our combo here?
Oh, you want to blow something up? Go ahead. I mean, don't mind me.
I can blow something up here. I don't know. I can set my chair on fire, but no one will see that. I don't know.
Boom! There's your explosion.
There you go. Is everybody listening now? You're interested now? Can you kill someone over there?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we'll do it.
Okay, I'm waiting.
I just did.
Oh, you did? It was a silent killing.
Yeah, you didn't specify. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, well, that's fine. No, silent killings are fine, as long as everybody knows we've killed someone. Now you can maintain interest.
Yes.
Next question.
He's ODB, one dead bitch. Okay, go ahead and plug in any of your projects in. You got any websites, MySpace, whatever the hell you want to plug in. Go ahead and plug the hell out of it. Go ahead.
Okay, let's plug. All right, I mean, if anybody's looking for a good publicist and they're up in Canada, then they should go to the promotion people, Leslie, Diana, and the promotion people. They're fantastic. If anybody's interested in contributing to the Alzheimer's film, it's for a good cause. It's a good, it's a really good little short. I'm really proud of Vanessa's writing, who did the script, the screenwriter. But you can look for that on Indiegogo.com/Eye of the Beholder, and you should find it on there. And there's lots of information about how she got the story for Alzheimer's, and based on the relationship with her grandfather. It's very touching, very sad, but very touching. And Complexity, please Google Complexity trailer or my name, Adam Bogoch, Bogoch, in YouTube, and you'll see an interview I did on The Standard with Emmy winner Peter Klein, and the trailer for our film, and many more things will be coming from that. Also, ComplexityTheMovie.com can be visited for the trailer as well, and that is has a temporary website up right now, and there'll be a new one by the end of the month.
Yeah. And, of course, you'll be back once the new shit comes out, of course.
I hope so.
Maybe. If it doesn't flop, you know.
Hey, thanks for that. Appreciate that comment. Nice talking to you, my friend.
Oh, yeah. There you go, everybody.